glad to present you our honored speaker, Andre Munhoz, the country manager at Avast for Brazil. He's responsible for all the key digital marketing initiatives in the region. He handles all aspects of the commercial area, including marketing, PR, user growth, customer support, and online sales. Today, we will share with us a little bit of his experience in implementing a local approach to business in Brazil. So if you have questions to Andre, please write them in the chat. After the presentation, we'll have a short Q&A session. So welcome, Andre, please.
Hello, Victoria. Thank you very much for the invitation.
You.
And thank you very much, everybody, for joining this presentation today. So, as Victoria said, I'm the country manager for Avast in Brazil. I'm responsible for activities in digital marketing, marketing itself, sales, the e-commerce. And one of the partners that we have in Brazil is actually a Softline. So I would like to share with you my experience working in the, I would say, the localization of our global business strategies into Brazil. And inside of us, we call that as a go local, which means we get the strategy which is given by our CEO to operate in the worldwide and try to implement that accordingly to the needs and taking respect the Brazilian audience. So in some cases, talk with Brazilians is quite different than talk with Russians, Americans, French people. We have different culture, different way to understand things, but also in terms of e-commerce, in terms of sales itself, it's very specific. We have quite a specific way how to do business in Brazil, and that's what I'm going to share here today. So I would like, before I get into the business itself, I just would like to introduce you to Avast for those who don't know. Avast has 32 years of experience in the software security industry. We have 435 million users around the world, and we serve 180 countries. Among them, of course, Brazil, which is one of the top 3 most important countries for Avast in terms of users worldwide. Also, we are available in 46 different languages, so that shows how much we care about our users, no matter where you are. Of course, many companies, when they go above beyond their local, their country level boundaries, they tend to look into, okay, so we can use English as an international language, so maybe we should use English in regions where English is also spoken with the local language. But we at Avast really focus on delivering the experience, the Avast experience into the local language. So that's actually the first learning that I bring here in terms of go local approach to the business. Avast prevents 2 billion cyber attacks every month, and 500 million malicious pages are detected every month at Avast. So it's a huge, massive work that we do inside of us, and that's very important for us to deliver to our end user, our end client, the best experience, not only in terms of how the product works, but also the way how you acquire the product. We also have 4 main brands. We have the HMA, which is a VPN product. We have AVG, also very known security product. We have CCleaner, which is a product specifically focused on PC optimization, device optimization, PC, mobile, and also obviously we have our own Avast brand. So that's an overall of how Avast works. But now I want to take you into the Go Local experience, so for you to understand a little bit more. So Avast works with the Freeman Strategy, and this really opened a lot of doors in Brazil. So by providing the user the first experience to try a free product and understanding that the user can have better and better experience by purchasing our premium features or premium products, is the way how we found our entry into the country. But then once we got there in Brazil and said, okay, so here it is, we have our free products, and if you want, you can buy our premium. Fine, but how are you going to make that user to really purchase if you don't have a card that works in the local currency, if you don't have a card that accept the local payment methods, if you don't take into account the type of payment methods that are mostly used in the country. So we start to look into, okay, so we have the product localized, but still the experience is not completely Brazilian. So what we realize here is that, okay, we have 45 million active freebie users in the country. We have a friction here, which is turn those users into paid users, and understanding how we can work with them way beyond, because, okay, they paid, but then what happens next? So I want to introduce to you one structure that we created inside of us. This structure is called the Go Local method model. And this Go Local method model involves the entire company, all aspects of the product, marketing, sales, and so on. So looking here, on the left-hand side, you see the brand marketing area. So at Avast, you see the PR, social media, blog, e-reputation. So the free user acquisition, you have PPC approach, PPI, pay-per-install, pay-per-click, SEO optimization, download portals, working with local websites. Then you look into monetization, pricing, local pricing, local payment methods, local campaigns, and then you look into how you retain those users. And then also you look into the customer service. So those four main pillars gives you a great view on, okay, what are the main points that I need to work at? Obviously, for some companies, for example, PPC or PPI might not be a way to go. Maybe you might be looking to working some other ways how to acquire your leads, let's say. But the important point here is to understand that you need to put it down, the four main pillars of your business, understand the specifics of them, and then go into, okay, where I am in terms of PR, where I am in terms of social media, where I am in terms of payments, and so on. Then, to support all that, you look into business development and partnerships, and the localization itself, which means translation of your product page, translation of your website, and the translation of your card, for example, the language itself. But not only the language, it's important to say that sometimes an image may make a difference. An image that works well in the US might not work that well in Brazil, or vice versa. So it's very important for you to understand those points, and I'm gonna go more into details later in the presentation. So when I joined Avast in 2014, we had a few levels of localization priorities. And here it is how it was in 2014. We had kind of initiate some PR that was quite in development. Social media was very strong. Brazil is a very strong in terms of social media and blog, so content creation. But we didn't have what we call e-reputation, which means like understand the users out there, understand what they are saying out there. Also in the free acquisition, we are quite advanced in terms of user acquisition. But if you look in the monetization, we are very strong in creating campaigns, but we didn't have very strong retention business. We didn't have a clear picture of pricing payments. And in customer service, we were doing very well with emails, but the world evolved quite a lot from the past year, and then we moved forward, and we need to look into other options. And business development pretty much was zero, and localization was in development. In 2020, that's the situation that we are right now. We do look into very strong PR, very strong social media, very strong blogging. And if you look at the monetization, how we moved forward in terms of business development, also to support all that, we implement new types of customer service, and we really improve the localization. I give an example in terms of localization itself. Back in the days, we were just doing normal translations, getting an agent outside of the company to do the translations. But then we realized that people outside there, third-party agency, okay, it's good, they had good quality, but how much they understood about our products, our culture, about what Avast stands for. So what we did was instead we stopped working with the agencies, and we hired a local translator, internal translator, sorry. This internal translator, Brazilian guy, not only for Brazil, but also for other regions like France, Germany, and so on. We got these people and said, okay, here is the product. Come with me, walk inside the company, look at how we work, how we do on a daily basis, how our culture is, and now please translate that into your local language. Translate that not only in your local language, but translate that to the people that you know the most. So how would you explain our daily work to your family members in your local language? That's what we want, and that's what you want if you want to succeed in your business. And we see that as a result of it, the growth in the sales, the growth in our brain awareness. I give an example. When it came to Avast in 2014, our brain awareness in Brazil was huge, was 88%. Now it's 94%. So we pretty much in Brazil, out of 100 people, 94 of them know Avast. And we increase that, and it's very hard for you to increase the brain awareness once it passes to 80%, because you start to decrease the number of people that you're going to reach. Yeah, you have less and less people to reach. So it's very hard for you to move the needle once you pass 80%. And we managed to move from 88 to 94, 6% percentage points. And that's mainly due to the go local approach and the way how we localize, bring to our people, Brazilian people, what Avast really stands for. So that's the overview of how we work in terms of localization in Brazil. But now I want to take you into one specific thing, and that's where Softline comes in, which is the monetization breakdown. So we start with the monetization, which is pretty much creating a cart. We have the cart, we have our presence on the internet. At Avast, we do have our website, for example, where again it's localized, but we also have our indirect sales, which means like the users get notified about our premium services via our application. So what we did here is working together with payment provider was creating a special card that first of all we're going to look into the pricing. So Brazil, and probably if you are Brazilian, you're going to know that very well. If you're not Brazilian, probably you have heard about it. But Brazil is very common to use installments for every transaction. So once we implement installments, our sales pretty much doubled because Brazilians really like to pay that to look into breaking down how they make the payments, and that's very unique. And one thing that I can tell you, if you work in a global company, you're gonna have hard time to really understand that, to really explain that inside the company, because not everybody outside of Brazil understand what the concept is. Like, why should I divide that into installments? Like, even a Avast product that costs like $10, like divide into installments, that sounds ridiculous for some people, but that's the way how it is. That's how people like to do in Brazil. So first of all, look into installments. Second point is actually looking into multiple years of your product. How you can serve your user. Like, do you want him to buy, or her, of course, to buy the product like for 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years, for 1 month? You want them to pay weekly. That's very important. And then we really depends on the product and the way how you actually market and promote that product. We have some products in Brazil. Most of them actually they are multiple years. Like talking about Avast, the security product itself, it's multiple years. But if you get a VPN, we sell on monthly basis because people rather have the not have the commitment for 1 year on the VPN. On the multiple license sites, also very important to understand. Like in your case at Avast, we have a lot of users that have a big family, or they are family owners, like parents with kids, or that they have like cousins, sisters, brothers, and they buy one license and get like that license to be used in several PCs. That might be very important for them. However, we do have those young users that they don't have that many PCs at home. They have only one, so he doesn't need multiple license. One is enough. So you can work with the pricing here and bring different opportunities for your user. So it's very important your customer experience being based, first of all, on your product itself, but also looking to the audience out there. You know, Brazil, it's not a very wealthy country, so installments is very important. Help them to really get the product and say, okay, I can break that payment in 3, 4 times, 10 times. So it's great. So I don't need to get a product like so many license or that can be used for so many people, and that is going to increase the cost. So I'm going to get something more simpler. So think about it, because in the US, maybe it's okay to buy a product for 3 years with 10 license and pay at once. But that certainly is not going to be the case in Brazil. So in terms of payments, look into the local payments. So we have in Brazil the local credit cards. Back until 2012, we were selling Brazil using international credit cards. Sorry, now I might be saying it wrong, but something between 2009 and 2012 of us was still using international credit cards. And that caused a lot of friction because, you know, Brazil is not like a very strong country. It's not a wealthy country, as I said before. So once we moved into the local credit card, there was a peak in the sales. Same thing with the boleto. For those who don't know what boleto is, it's a type of offline payment. So you place the order. I send you a kind of invoice, written what you bought and for how much. You go to a bank or on your internet banking, or you can go to a shop that accept the payments, which is very easy in Brazil, and make the payments. Once the payment is compensated, we send the product. The problem for the boleto payment method is that it takes a while for that to be compensated. It takes usually 2 to 3 days for you as a seller to see that money in your account. So the user needs or the customer needs to be waiting until that product comes to them. And then you also have the wallets, and I didn't mention here, but I think it's not on the slide, but I think it's important to mention PayPal. PayPal in Brazil also there is some access, but it's not as major as in other regions, because what we have there is actually local wallets. If you work with Softline in Brazil, probably going to use the PagSeguro wallet, which is the PagSeguro is the biggest, one of the biggest payment provider in Brazil. It's part of a company called Wall and Folha de São Paulo, which is a large website and a large newspaper. So a lot of Brazilians do have access to PagSeguro wallet, so your sales will be really strong if you work with them. And eventually, also, what we implement in Brazil now, the central bank created a new type of payment method called PIX. Basically, PIX, it's quite similar. How can I say? It's not the difference between PIX and Boleto is that, first of all, Boleto, you need to receive some invoice, and PIX, you're gonna get kind of invoice, you're gonna get like the notification how much you need to pay, but you pay from your bank account, and that payment is compensated immediately. So you don't need to wait to actually send the product to a user. The central bank just implemented PIX in Brazil right now in November, and it's been a huge talk in the market. Maybe that would be some webinar that suggests Softline to look into in the future to talk about specifically about PIX. It's a huge buzz in the market, and if you are going to Brazil right now, or if you are there in Brazil already, looking to implement the PIX into your payment flow. Softline, I'm sure, can help you with that. Also look into the campaigns, the seasonal campaigns, Black Friday, Christmas, special events. And one thing interesting here, before I joined Avast, the year before, there was created a Christmas campaign, actually end of the year campaign. I can't remember exactly now. It was like Christmas, New Year's Eve campaign. And we launched the campaign in Brazil. It was like the image, it was like a snowman, like people skiing. And you know, like Brazil during Christmas, New Year's Eve, you are in the summer, like very hot days, like we are in the 40 degrees, and we were sending message to people, oh, take the opportunity of this special winter campaign. So that's why it's very important for you to look into the go local, take the go local approach to your business. So make sure that you can, you're going to be delivering the experience that your local audience is expecting from you. And the last part of this monetization breakdown is actually the retention business. Retention business, we look into, first of all, good communication with the user to make sure that the user is aware that you are going to offer a new year or a new month of product. Also, it's important to look into special pricing, because you already have that user, right? You already have that client, you know, like you want that client to continue with you, and offering special price here can really make that customer to love your brand. It's also part of the brand awareness. And eventually look into auto renewal. In Brazil, can be quite tricky, the auto renewal, because as I said, it's a country where it's not a wealthy country. So if you don't communicate well the auto renewal, you can have troubles to actually monetize this user, because if the user doesn't know that you're charging something, and suddenly see that that charge in their credit cards details, then it could be a problem. So really focus on good communication on the retention side. Look into giving the best that you can in terms of pricing, and yeah, you're gonna have a successful retention business in Brazil. So now, in terms of looking to the payment methods and looking to all this way how we work in Brazil for the monetization, we come down to one specific hypothesis, which is not having relevant payment methods is one source of friction. So not having that payment method well placed, then you can really be in trouble, because Brazilians expect the installments, Brazilians expect boleto, Brazilians expect Pix, Brazilians expect a great price, a special price for them, a price in the local language, the local credit cards. And also what they expect is actually to have clear instructions on how to use your checkout flow, using plain Brazilian Portuguese language, using plain expressions that we do have in Brazil. And we're gonna get there only if you have Brazilians working with you. And it's not only I'm focusing this presentation on e-commerce because that's the way how we work Softline, but think about user growth. So the growth of your leads, if you may, like not everybody, not every product is specific about user, but it's about creating leads. So how are you going to create leads here? Are you going to use an international approach? So now look into how you can do that the best way, using the local language, the local people, and the local approach. It's very simple to test that. It's not very complicated. However, I must admit, it is time demanding. It is something that requires a lot of focus, and it is something that requires a lot of investment. So I'm not going to lie on this point. However, the gains, especially in terms of bookings and revenue, you can easily prove by implementing a local payment method that your Go Local approach is correct. It's very simple. Just try. Just try and offer your products installments in Brazil for a day, and you're gonna see the difference. And this will be easily, you can easily take that to the top management in your company, and I'm sure that you're gonna open doors for you to do more and more of the Go Local approach. So coming down to the end of my presentation. So looking to the additional benefits that Avast see with the localization of our monetization strategy. So first of all, more people have chance to try premium versions. In the past, as I said, we used to have international credit cards. Once we moved to local credit card, that was a huge difference. Before we didn't have boleto, moving the boleto, double the sales. Organically extend our LTV, our lifetime value, by really people talking about Avast and say to their friends and family members and say, look, it's a product easy to use, you easily understand, and you don't have troubles to be translating or understand what they mean by that expression that you never heard before. You also have faster market penetration, which means, okay, you do have a lot of people interested on your brands, a lot of people interested on your product, but you don't see people buying, you don't see people really getting that product because you don't have the right payment methods. And eventually also, I think very important here, and the best that you can give to your audience and to your people is actually higher customer satisfaction and improve product loyalty. And so those 4 points, we really realize that by having the Go Local approach will lead us to a better business, to a healthier business in Brazil. So I would like to thank very much everybody who joined the call today, who is here in this webinar. I hope that the presentation was clear. However, I want to open for questions so we can go deeper into more details if anyone would you like to, if anything is unclear for anyone, please, I know, Victoria, I think that you have questions on your side.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Andre. So, please, guys, could you please drop in us the questions, if any questions you have, or whether it would be in the chat panel or in the question panel. So you're welcome with your questions. Please drop them down. I can't see anything so far. Nothing from your side? Right. Just tracking the questions or anything else. Just let me have. Okay. So there is the question. Hold on for a second, please, Andre. There is a question from Kevin Martin. What is the next step? Oh, what is the next step for Avast in Brazil?
Yeah, the next step for us in Brazil. So first thing for us is the implementation incorporation of PIX. Of course, that's something that is on our roadmap for 2021 because that's being always only available now in November. The second point is to look into better way how we can communicate with our audience in terms of to retain our users better. That's something that I would say that this is something that will never finish because we realized in the past few years that communicating with the users only by email in Brazil is not really efficient. We see in countries like France, for example, 45% in terms of open rates of emails. But if you look into Brazil, you have like 20, 25. So not everybody is opening the emails, not everybody is aware of it. So in Brazil, for example, we have a very strong users and a very large number of users of WhatsApp. And WhatsApp has implemented in Brazil the so-called Avast business, which allows business to communicate with their clients. And that's another thing that also it's part of our localization process to speak or communicate with our clients the way how they want to communicate with us. And if this is via WhatsApp, so there will be. And so these are, like I would say, the main points in terms of our sales or e-commerce strategy. But also look into how we can improve our user growth and getting new users. Is actually working in educational projects that are specific for Brazil to explain people the importance of security, of online security, and how they can be protected. So we're going to be creating a series of webinars with local partners. One of them is the Institute of Technology and Society of Rio de Janeiro. We are partnering with them to provide and bring a little bit more of educational content to our people in Brazil. So, and that goes back to that to the slide where I showed the 4 pillars of the Go Local, and on the bottom you'll see the business development and partnerships. So that really, these really sustain the is on the top, because the new approach is the new ways you acquire your use will change quite often, especially now with the way of the world changes very fast. So it's very important for you to keep that in mind and bring different approaches to your business. So yeah, these are the main things for.
Okay. Thank you so much for very detailed reply, Andre. There is another question. Can these strategies be implemented for every kind of business or just security-based companies?
You can implement that for every company, for every type of business. The point here is not specifically the online business. It's about how you approach the business. So if for example, car industry, many cars in the history of the car industry didn't work out in Brazil, because even cars from big manufacturers like Volkswagen, Ford, and so on, because they brought to the country a car that perhaps the name is not really making sense, or the type of car is not the type of, like big cars in Brazil, especially in São Paulo, for example, where you have big traffic, and maybe big car is not like the ideal in the country. So all that you need to take in consideration. So those 4 pillars, they are just like an example that you can take from what we are doing in the technology, but you can change PPI, for example, for a lead generation, and you have there the same thing in a different industry. I would say, for example, the payment methods. I think it's essential, and in any business this will work. Maybe even in B2B, you're going to see like companies buying products in installments. So I think that's very important for you to, more than understand like the specifics that we have at Avast and translate that into your business, is understand the specifics of your business in Brazil. So how Brazilians use your competitive products there, how they sell them. A local Brazilian company, how do they do? So this is it's not about like having the every point that I put here, but it's having like a go local mindset.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Andre. There is another question to you. Do you think that the boleto will be substituted by 100% by PIX? Maybe substituted,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's a $1 million question. Well, I don't think so. At least not as short term. I think that there's still like a lot of people in Brazil who don't even have a bank account. So these people, they will still using boleto. But I think that there will be a big shift in Brazil in terms of first, nowadays, like let's put it this way, we have 22% of our sales in Brazil via boleto. So it's a large number, and if you take in consideration, which is quite similar to the country level, we have roughly 25% of the transactions in the whole country, in the whole e-commerce in Brazil is 25%. So if you get the boleto itself, I believe that will decrease quite a lot in the next 2 to 3 years, and PIX will take that part. The central bank is planning or is projecting that by 2023, PIX will represent 22% of the business in Brazil, which means exactly the boleto, the boleto margin. But I don't think that we'll completely stop Boleto to exist. But yeah, we will take a major part, and we will see if also the banks manage to acquire more and more users, more and more not users in this case, but more and more clients. I believe that this can help, because if you have more people with bank accounts, so they would rather go for Pix than use Boleto. But that's a good question. I don't think that we'll stop completely, that we'll replace that completely, but we'll take major part of the Boleto business for sure.
Thank you so much, Andre. Very nice answer, and very honest answer. Thank you so much. So, as far as I can see from the panel, there are no questions so far. So, I suggest that if you have any other questions or additional questions, so you are welcome to write me an email with the questions. So, and those questions will be redirected to Andre, and you'll get the answer personally from Andre, from our owner speaker. So thank you so much for all who attended our webinar. I know that Andre would like to just to have this webinar for 1 hour, so we are just in time. So thank you so much for everyone who has joined us. The very next day you will have the recording, and please follow us at our social media. So thank you so much, Andre. It was very nice to hear you, and it was very nice to host you as a presenter. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much, Victoria,
Yeah.
and thank you everybody for joining here
Yeah.
today.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.